Well, good evening, good evening to you. And you. Oh, yeah, you were there too. Well, all of you. I'm really glad that you could make it for this evening. And we're going to have some fun. The question that we're dealing with today is one that I get a lot. And I usually get it every time I'm done having, a good talk or, you know, expose or discussion or answering questions. How do I start? How do I start spirituality? How do I get into this? And a lot of that question comes mostly from the people who are watching. They watch other people who seem to portray spirituality and they seem to be super happy and almost happy go lucky, and they seem to have a lot of quote unquote love and light about them. Yeah. So I'm going to do two things tonight, this evening, or morning, wherever you are listening, watching right now. I'm going to dispel the myths. Three things. Dispelling the myths, definitely. I'm going to identify the bullshit so you can avoid that. And I'm actually going to tell you how to start this. It is so simple. And in fact, when I get to that part, a lot of you might realize you've already been doing it. So, shall we get into it? All right, good, let's go. So, I want to welcome any new viewers. I'm kind of using a system that's supposed to tell me when I have people talking to me, but I can't really see that on the system right now. And since this is a one-man show, I try to focus on the camera. And I try to focus on you, my viewers. Right? So I'm going to give you just one quick minute to invite your friends. I want you to go do that right now. Just share. Share this live right now to all your friends who have asked you the same question, thinking that you would know because you just know stuff. Let them come on in so that we can have more people see what we're talking about, see the fun that we're going to have, right? So I'll give you a minute to do that. Now, while you're doing that, I'll just go through a little bit of a housekeeping and tell you where you can find me. So right now I am streaming to 3 different platforms at the same time. Right here on my Facebook page at Living Magic Shaman. You can also find me live on YouTube at KL the Shaman, as in CAEL dot shaman. And if you are a gamer, I am live on Twitch right now. So you can catch me on any one of these 3 platforms every time I go live. That's for sure. Where else can you catch me in my content? Well, I do have a podcast, and it's called Not Your Average Shaman. For those of you who know me, I get a little bit ruckus sometimes, and I get a bit animated sometimes. So, on my podcast, I actually go into a lot of the nitty-gritty that I talk about, even here. And that's where you can get some of the real strong, raw details, personal stories, if you will. So you can check me out there. And, of course, Instagram. I just threw out a little video there on Instagram to let my Instagram followers know that I am here live. And, of course, YouTube, like you said, and also on Twitch. And today's topic, how to begin the practice of spirituality. So, let's talk about Okay, we're gonna get into it. Oh, I get goosebumps every time I try to get into stuff like this because I know I'm not the only one who sees all of this, and especially as a person who is kind of waking up to the fact that there has to be more in this world, especially now where the world seems so unstable and really crummy, and people are not behaving like humans, and everyone seems to have some form of pretentious side about them. Yeah, it kind of makes you think, makes you wonder, okay, is there any way that I could just blot out all of that crazy noise and just focus on me experiencing at least a moment of peace? And for the better part, that's basically what spirituality helps you to do. Not to escape. Let me make that clear. This is not about an escape, but it is about having the ability to understand and be aware of the environment around you, and to still hold within yourself a very strong sense of peace. It doesn't mean that you're not going to experience a lot of emotion. It doesn't mean that you get to ignore your emotions. In fact, it doesn't even mean that you won't need to address the validity of your emotions to others. So then, what's with how some people portray it? That they seem to be just cool, calm, collected, and they've got that sort of a light about them, and nobody really knows what happens behind the scenes. This was one of the very first things that absolutely shocked me when I started to offer my services publicly. That what this spirituality industry presented and still continues to present as its front is a crockload of bullshit. People just seem to be calm. They seem to be unafraid. They seem to be well put together. It's not the truth. In fact, sometimes it's the furthest thing from the truth. I've had, I don't know if I want to call it a positive experience, but it was an eye opening series of experiences with many, many people in the spirituality field who are not put together at all. Almost worse than people who go to church. Yeah, I said that. I told you we're going to get into it today. The thing is, on the church side, people go for the purpose of healing. Sometimes they don't know that that's what they go for, but that's pretty much what it is. In spirituality, I find that most of the time people who approach spirituality, they feel a sense of disintegration or disjointedness, and they're looking for something to make them whole. So to me, I find that to be a big difference. Just looking for healing and looking to be whole. So if you are that person listening right now, that you are approaching spirituality, or you have started searching into making spirituality a part of your life for the purpose to be whole, then this content is for you. Absolutely. If you are somehow aware that you seem to be displaying psychic abilities, or what could be understood as psychic abilities, and you're looking into things like witchcraft or Wicca or magic or healing or anything of that nature, then yeah, this content right here, you are in the right place. And we're going to talk about how to truly begin this. See, I'll take an example from like my Quora site. And you can you can actually also find me on Quora. I do have a corner on Quora called Kale the Shaman's Corner. And so I answer questions there and put inspiration and all sorts of really cool stuff. It is a big question as to how does one get into the like just being spiritual, because it's presented from this community as a thing. On Tinder, you can actually choose spiritual instead of religion. On the Facebook dating app, you can choose spiritual. And there's so many people that choose spiritual without having a clue. Some of them do, and you can tell because their profile has indicators. And those indicators are really cool things, right? So I want you to understand that what we are going to talk about is would be the parameters, the things or the actions that you, the listener, right there, yes, you, would do. And I do mean do. There are things to do in order to become spiritual or to start the journey of spirituality. And so that's what we're going to talk about. We've identified that first part. Here comes the kicker. Please, for the love of all that is sacred, do not believe in the bullshitters. Those who claim spirituality. And that version of spirituality that is fake AF. And you know what I mean. It's like the Christians who are ready to kill all the time. Fake AF. Because that ain't what Jesus did. If you practice in Christianity and you you ready to throw down? Yeah, Jesus didn't do that. No, no, not at all. Okay, and the same thing with spirituality. I can tell, I can feel there's some people who are watching this right now, and some who are going to watch us right now, and they're getting twisted right now. But yes, I'm gonna call it out. One of the areas of spirituality is healing. And I have actually gone to verbal war with this with many proclaimed healers. I've heard directly from clients who have gone to some healers where they won't touch them if they're sick. They won't touch them if if they start a healing process and a dark force comes into the healing, they freak out and they're like, "Oh no, I can't. You gotta go see somebody else. I can't. I'm all about love and light, and I need to clear." And they're pulling out the sage and all that sort of craziness. If you are a healer, then your purpose is to heal. There should be nothing that scares you. And you should never, ever be continuously, constantly, outrageously sick all the time, whether emotionally or otherwise. Healer. It's a word that has an etymology. If you don't know what etymology is, Google be your friend. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be condescending at all. But I want to identify the difference between a practical claim and a physical articulated bullshit. Yeah. A little bit of grammar in there too. You know what I'm saying? So be aware of those things. Many people have come to me after the fact of being scammed, after the fact of being taken advantage of, because of various reasons. And they've tried so many different healers. So by the time they get to me, they're pretty skeptical and pretty hurt and out 5-10 grand, you know? So at that point, it becomes really harsh for them when I say, I run a business and this is a service. The most common thing I get in that regard is, well, I'm not going to pay till I see results. It's understandable, it's fair enough, but it's not the way I do business, not the way fast food does business, not the way a restaurant does business. Right? So it comes down to a system of values. Values as in, what do you value? How do you perceive value? And if you've spent a lot of time continuously going after people who have kind of worked you over, sad to say, that's kind of on you. You wouldn't buy something on Amazon if you hadn't looked at the reviews or researched the product. I mean, if you did, that's still on you. So perception is a big thing. It matters at that point when you're entering this, because you have to really understand it. Now, on the flip side, there's the problem of the gurus. Those who have a massive following. Seems like nothing could go wrong there, right? Not so much. Because I've also had clients who came from gurus, and same sort of complaints. So I know that may kind of scare you right now. Well, what do I do if I can't really depend on that side, because there's too many bullshitters, and I can't really depend on those who have a massive following because they could be even more corrupt? What the heck do I do? KL, what do I do? And that's what's going to lead us into, how do you actually start? So let me break this down for you. There are very specific items that must be covered in all of spiritual development. All of it. If you don't have these particular things, it is excruciatingly hard to develop a spiritual body, a spiritual mind, a sense of awareness that is independent, strong, keen, and confident. And that's what I'm going to tell you now. So the very first thing you must understand about spirituality is that it is practical. Let me pause for effect. Okay. Spirituality is practical. There's no woo-woo ha-ha to it. My favorite statement to say, no fairies, fluff, and unicorns to it. It is extremely practical. And the practicality of it is so simple that it could be misconstrued that maybe it's not true. And that's where most people get really bamboozled, caught up, shafted, taken advantage of. Because the Christian version of things have had their influence on the practicality of spirituality. See, in the Christian version of things, you have to do penance. You have to earn your right. You have to work so hard that you almost bleed to death, that sort of a deal. And the practicality of spirituality is not like that. So, practical. Be practical. Be practical. I cannot stress this enough. That's the first point. If you want to write this down, you might as well. You know what? I'll pause for a minute. I'll let you get some pen and paper, or pull up that notepad on your phone. I'll wait. Oh, you there? Okay, good. Right, awesome. So, practicality. This is very important. Why do you have to be practical? Well, because what you're going to experience is very real. And if you second guess and misjudge what you are experiencing, then you end up self-sabotaging the whole gamut. And then you have to start all over again. And because you've done it once, now your mind goes into muscle memory. As in, okay, when we feel something, it feels real. Okay, we have to second guess it. And then that becomes a pattern. And then that pattern gets really hard to break. For those of you who have been practicing for some time, you know exactly what I mean. That is the reason why it feels so hard to break the pattern. So, I'll give you an example. Meditation. I just might demonstrate that right now. We'll do this. You still with me? Yeah? Okay, good. I want to demonstrate this right now. Blow your mind. Don't know if this will show up right on camera. Hopefully it will. It'll translate it correctly. We'll see. This demonstration I'm about to do is something that I do for pretty much everyone that I introduce to like my mentorship and my trainings and stuff like that. So, here are the instructions. I'm going to show you a word written on paper. And I want you to focus on the word. And I want you to, without using an audible voice, just in your mind, I want you to say the word just at normal voice level in your mind. Okay? You with me? Okay. So hopefully this actually works. So let's try it. Ah, yes, it does. Great. So you see the word. I want you to now say the word in your mind. Don't use your vocal voice like I am. Just in your mind, say the word. Okay. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to say the word a little bit louder. So 3, 2, 1. Go for it. Okay? Now, we're going to do this a third time. But I want you to say this word so loud, like if you were standing on a mountaintop and you were screaming it out at the very top of your lungs, but I just want you to do this in your mind. Okay? So 3, 2, 1. Go for it. Perfect. Now, pay close attention to my next words, because this is very important. Now let's recap. You said the word 3 times. So my first question to you is, with what ears did you hear yourself say it? Pause for effect. Hang on. I know. Hang on. There's one more question. With what voice did you say it? Now you heard yourself in your voice say the word. I give you a minute. I give you a minute with that one. It's pretty curious, right? Okay. Here's the thing. As simplified as what you just did is, that is what spirituality is about. It is about understanding the truth of your expression via the senses, and how you can communicate using those senses to understand the awareness of the world around you. Take a minute, really ponder that. That's the truth of it. And the more that you can really soak that in, everything you learn from here on in about spirituality will have those pockets of aha moments that make sense. Meditation is just that internal use of senses that exist before their physical expression. And when I say they exist before their physical expression, you just experience your own voice. You heard your own voice. In our world today, that means that everybody should be crazy. Do you understand what I'm saying? How many of you out there right now, you sit with your thoughts and you're thinking a thing through, and then suddenly you vocally say, no, I don't think so. By medical, psychological standards, we all should be classified as crazy. Yet somehow the medical system says, oh, no, you're just using the power of your mind, you're... Okay, I'm not going to go there. The simplicity of the practicality of spirituality is exactly what you just experienced. Everything, and I promise you this, everything about the way spirituality works for you, with you, and within you depends on the solidity of what you just experienced with that demonstration. You were 100% confident that you heard, without external ears, your voice, without an external expression, audible expression, say a word that you recognized mentally. There is no higher state within spirituality than that level of self recognition, that level of self cognition. That is truly how simple this is. I want you to be able to sit with that and to practice it as much as possible. Because the more that you truly listen to your internal voice, is the more that you understand when there is an external voice. When someone else is chirp, 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 and trying to implant a story into your mind that has nothing to do with your personal narrative. The only way you can have a truthful personal narrative is by having it in your voice and listening to it with your ears. That's how you learn the independence that comes along with the practicality of spirituality. Right? Now, we've been going for a little while, and I like to keep it not too long because I know that this was a lot for you to sort of mull over and digest, and I really want you to be able to get that. We have so many more things that we're going to discuss throughout these live series. And I want you to be able to really get through with this one first. So practice this. I will show you the word again. I want you to say it again. Experience that demonstration one more time. All right? In 3, 2, 1. There you go. See how much better it feels the second time around? Yeah. So, we'll leave it there for tonight. And we'll continue with more demonstrations like this. In fact, we'll be doing some very big demonstrations along the way. But I want you to start here so that you can truly begin on a path that allows you the freedom to build your own version of spiritual expression. The laws of the universe don't change, but how you use them to build your life, that's what makes it unique. All right? Thank you for participating tonight. Thank you for inviting your friends. And we'll chat again soon. Ciao.